Okay, now we have sound. Hello, 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 hello. I am live Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and our website. This is a new thing for me only because I don't need a ton of angles, and I thought we're gonna catch this rabbit with both arms here. We're gonna do Instagram and the rest of you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got someone watching on Facebook. Sorry about the sound in the beginning. With my batteries on my microphones, it's a thing, right? And if you follow me, you know this. And we're just, I tried to save the batteries for the last second and I forgot to turn one on. So we're working on this piece. If you've been seeing me do the little videos for it, and I'm super excited for this. It's a marriage, right? Thank you, Esmeralda. And Esmeralda says, she says, love the hat, Chickie. That's awesome. Thank you so much. We're just, playing in the sandbox, and this is my hat for the month. This is it. This is what you get. And if you noticed, I have my little Scully necklace on that I've made. I have my little skeleton earrings. I even have a Beetlejuice jacket because this is my month. This is it. Some people call it the Stevie Nicks hat. I get it. But I really need to find a new one because it's getting, it's gotten some paint spots and whatnot. So it's getting a little tired. I don't know how long I've had this hat. It's been probably more than 10 years. Probably more than 10 years. And all October long, once I get up into that attic and pull it down, it's on pretty much every day. I go shopping with it. I do everything with my hat. So I am, just like my video I did the other day, I am not afraid to be corny. That's it. All right, so we're working here. And you can see we've got the raised stenciling. I hope it's translating to both the cameras. I don't think it's showing up really great on the website, YouTube, Facebook one. Let me see what I can do for lighting. Let's see, is that better? Can we see the raised stenciling better? Maybe if I adjust the lighting. Somewhat. Not great, right, Esmeralda? Can you make it out on your end? Because it's not looking like you can see it on my end. Anywho, so we did the videos on how to add the raised stenciling. And what I've done is I've sanded it. And it's you don't have to be shy with this. Because I decided to use the Dixie, the sea spray, all right? So that's a texture a lot of people do. Like I did it up here, all right? And we created a texture. I did it with driftwood, which is our gray. And then I coated over it with our base coat, which is the silk mineral paint in salt water. And then when I got that coated, because the driftwood didn't want to cover well with the white, once we got it sanded, I actually pulled some of the Bay Breeze silk mineral paint, just took my little palette knife, dipped the little end of it, and just pulled it over the texture. Some of it went on to the smooth part. That's okay. And then when that dried, why do I say we? Probably because whenever I'm working on these things, I'm live with you all. I took my sandpaper and we literally just sand. And there I said we again. All right, you just sand it. And then I've sanded this raised stencil now that it's all done. All right. Now, you don't have to use sea spray to do the raised stencil. Typically, I use something more like their Dixie Mud. because, I don't know, it's just what everyone, you know, it's more of a plaster. But I just think that the sea spray is a little more durable in the long run. That's my thoughts, my feelings. You guys can chime in on that. You see me, you hear me. Yay, 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 yay. So, I don't, oh, maybe is someone not able to see or hear me, Esmeralda? Esmeralda says, wow, by the way, that's awesome. You know, we have this striping in here that has the slightest bit of our mica powder in just the pearl. Actually, just the slightest bit of the Bay Breeze in it. And it has a lot of the pearl in it, the mica powder pearl. But this time, we made a glaze. Looks good. Gotta get at the moment. Sorry. Okay. All right. I think she means she's got to go. What I've done is I've taken a bit of the clear coat gloss and a heck of a lot of our, this is Interference Gold. It's a mica powder that you get at the craft stores. I don't even know if they're still available because my mica powders, I've had them forever, so it might be different brands now. Who knows? And I just made a little bit. This is going to be way more than we need. And you want it like, I'm not going to say I did half and half, but maybe 2/3, 1/3, because I did put quite a bit of powder, and you're going to have to keep stirring it. So the gloss is going to add a nice durability to this, because I'm not going to go and seal this after, because we have the dull from our silk mineral paint and the shine from our gloss and that other paint mixture with the other mica powder as a wash, and made it like a shiny stripe. Just a little bit of the blue just to help set it off a little bit more than just white on white. But this time, because we're going to be doing gold on the hardware and on the legs, and I found that typically I try to just kind of rub this on with a Q-tip or something, but I found that I did not put this on really kind of thick enough to do that. Some parts are fine, but I'm just going over with a brush. And you don't have to have it perfect. Again, this is meant to be like a wash over the top. It can be lighter in parts, dark, you know, brighter in other parts. So, and then what I found too is that you can kind of cheat if you have like a broken part of your stencil, because I didn't go back over and fill these in where they didn't, you know, if I didn't get total fill in my stenciling process. But, you know, I kind of cheated and just made some of the designs just with this wash. And this is going to be something super, super subtle for you guys. And I'll try and grab the cameras and kind of move it around so that you can kind of see what it's doing. I got a feeling Instagram can see it better than the rest of you. But it's really, it's so, so cool. So yeah, we're on Instagram. We have this streaming to our website. Whenever I go live on our page, I can stream this to our website and to YouTube. However, even though, you know, Instagram is Meta as well, it doesn't play nice with these apps that allow me to do that, streaming like that. And for some reason, my dehumidifier in the back, I turned it off, but it keeps beeping. I don't understand why. There's no alarm, there's no warning thing that shouldn't matter if it was full, because I have it off. Apparently it's not off, but I keep turning it off. You know, the place is haunted, right? Well, it's a good month for it. All right, so that's the idea. It's super easy to do. This takes a little patience, because it's a very little delicate stencil, and I didn't do it very thick. I guess, truth be told, Would I do it thicker next time if I'm doing this process? Yes. Only because I just want this super light. I don't want to add a glaze. If I added this mica powder wash, as a glaze, it would kind of tint the whole thing the gold. And I don't want that. I just want these little areas. But normally I would just take this raised stencil, either just leave it and just have it be very, subtle, white on white, all right? But you can also, if you're doing it in Dixie Mud or in the Dixie Spray, you're mixing it with paint. Dixie Mud comes in 3 colors, so you can also do a color play. So if I wanted to do, let's say, black and white, I could have done my Dixie Mud through the stencil in black, because it comes in the 3 colors, brown, black, and white. With the Dixie Spray, whatever color I mix it into is what it would be. But I wanted this, again, to be very subtle because we're doing a mixture of techniques. She came in wanting the other dresser we did with the stripes, but she bought the dresser with the white and the floor and the roses, maize roses. And so this is my interpretation of mirroring those 2 looks. We are, instead of roses in the center, we are doing shells this time. So that's why I really wanted the rest of this to really kind of coincide with the other piece. So we're really keeping it light because the other piece was pretty much all white. And white is more her color. So, like I said, it's not hard to do. But you want to make sure you do your sanding prior to doing this. And everything is sealed to this point. So the Dixie Sea Spray mixed with the silk mineral paint, this doesn't need to be sealed. But now that I'm putting this wash on it, it's adding like a little layer of seal on it because it's gloss, a gloss clear coat that I mixed it with, right? Let me see. I'll check comments on Instagram in a hot second here. I'm hoping, I don't know if you guys can see this. And if you're on our website, I have not figured out if I can get comments at all. I don't think I can. You have to have probably more of a subscription to do that. I have a very basic. I'm just glad that they allowed the basic subscription to do it. All right, so what's going to happen is when we tie in the hardware and it has the gold, sometimes you're going to look at this and you're going to not see anything. It's just going to look maybe shinier. And then sometimes you're going to look at it and you'll see just a little bit of gold. It's super, super cool what this does. Oh, and look at that. We have a little baby fly. I hate the stupid flies. And I'm so ridiculous about it that, like, when I have a banana, I go walk my peel down the street and throw it outside in the pail because I don't want the fruit flies in here, right? The struggle is, it's a thing. Like, I don't like that. All right, so let's see. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And so that's what I'm going to do to the rest of the raised stencil. Is it what I planned on doing and sitting there and kind of painting each detail? No. Does it take a long time? No. Takes a little patience, yes. But it's not going to be the end of the world. But typically I do like a wash and then the gray, or if it was a dark color on the rest of the piece and I was doing a light wash, right? You could do like a liming effect. That would sit in the details after you brush it on and then you wipe it off the tops and let like the glaze sit. But instead, I just want the raised areas to be just a little gold. I didn't want like to have the whole piece glazed and have that little over effect of gold, because whenever you glaze, it does affect the whole piece just a little bit. All right. Anywho, So that's that. And what I've done is I've added a bit of stick with me to the legs. So let me get, I'm not going to be able to see comments on Facebook because I'm turning this computer around. All right, and I think, right, you can see that, right? There's the legs. And let me just try to bring this down more without losing my phone. That would be good. And without it dropping all the way like it tends to do. I can't figure out how to tighten those. They seem to just do their own thing. So I added a bit of this stick with me to the legs. And all it entails is it comes in a jar like this. It's by Dixie Belle. And if you're going to use the foils or the flocking, which is called velvet, soft velvet, what is it? It's brand new, so hold on. Velvet Touch. Okay, it only comes in black at the moment. And that's something else that you can do with this. So what I did is I just take my brush, I dip it into the glue, and I brush it on. And you want to wait for it to get tacky. I'm kind of testing to see if it's, I don't think it's, what I ended up doing is I started foiling here, and it wasn't great coverage. It's not getting 100% coverage, and that's okay. I can go back over this and then hit it with my foil. So why don't we start with the molds a little bit and then come back to the foil. All right. So that's the stick with me. This is the foil. It comes in a roll. We have it in gold, copper, and silver, and now we have it in a red. Okay, it's super pretty. I love this shiny, shiny gold. I'm all about this. I'm not a fan of this like Olympic gold, which is what this is. I just wanted to get a base that was, I thought, similar to it, but it's way more orange than this is. But that's okay. We're really going to go for coverage on this. So you could use this crackle, this mixed effect to your advantage if you were, if you had maybe like, let's say you put a black base down, which would deepen the gold, and wherever it doesn't quite cover all the way, you would have the black showing through. What if you did purple base, like a deep aubergine, right? We have a beautiful aubergine, that would look pretty. But we're keeping it simple. We're keeping it in line with this. I didn't want white. White and the gold just doesn't do it for me. So I decided to go ahead and base it with this Modern Masters color because I have some and it's left over, right? So let's switch camera views on this again. And I am going to get our mold stuff ready. Bear with me here. This is not going to be pretty how we're going to do this. So let me get a little table and see if we can't get this to, got to get working on this mailbox after too. All right. Let me check. That one's blue. Okay. We made this table. I can't remember where we got the legs. It was like a typewriter stand maybe. But I can't remember what was on here, and it was a hot mess. So we just took it off and put a piece of plywood. So it's not pretty, but it does the job, right? So that's really not going to work either, is it? Let's see. I'm trying to get it so everyone can see. And then we're going to get, you know, I forgot to do is get the molds out. Bear with me again, sorry. I don't know why I get so out of breath so easy, but I've been getting out of breath. So what I'm filling with are the molds. Okay. I am an Iron Orchid Designs retailer as well as Dixie Belle. And you can shop us online, by the way. That is all available at Seaporium.com, but you can come into our store in Cape Cod. And let's see, we need some tools like a putty knife, a soft like brush, cornstarch, and like a wood glue. If you're working with this kind of a project, if you're working with like glass or metals, resin, I might go to like a resin glue, like a E6000, you know, be appropriate. And I did buy these other molds just to have options. They're Zuri, all right, you can get them online. And this one's a seahorse. I don't know if we're gonna, maybe we could fit a seahorse down the center after. We'd have to cut these two apart. They're like hugging. We'll see. And what I do is I fill the mold, or dust it. I know you don't fill it, you dust it is the correct word. They have beautiful seahorses too, and they're probably better sized. What you could do is you can marry them and they make great ornaments, especially if you're using resin. When you do resin with, if you're going to do the symmetrical and pieces and make them like an ornament, you want to pour one side, or like, let's say you're doing, I don't think, I have to try and see if the sand dollar is symmetrical. It might be. And if it is, what I would do is I would pour the one side, pop it out, and then pour it again. And then before it's turning white, just as it's starting to thicken, I put in my little hanger, whether it's a bail, a jewelry bail, or a ribbon. And then put my first piece on top and kind of squish them just enough. Not so it's making a hot mess all over the sides, but just enough. All right, if your ribbon or if your bail is sinking in too much, you know that's not ready to put the other piece on. All right, so we're gonna go for this. And I have a clay open. I do like to use the Iron Orchid Designs air dry clay. And on YouTube, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I will get to your questions. I don't have another computer available only because I'm afraid, you know, with that camera, this camera, the other camera, you know, my register is on, like my printer is attached to our network. I don't want the internet to be a problem, so I don't want to turn on another computer. All right, so I just take a little bit of the clay. This is getting a little hard because I left it open one night. There's actually a piece that's kind of hard. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in the middle of something else. So let's say we do this sand dollar would be a good piece for that. And just going to press it down into the mold. Now I like this clay a lot better. Some people argue that, you know, oh well, you can get clay so much cheaper at the craft stores, and that's great if you're not really doing a lot of this. But if you like to upcycle furniture and add details to pieces, or really kind of make some frames glamorous and make cute ornaments or jewelry or whatever, I think it's just so much better to use the better product. And to me, their air dry clay is just, it's phenomenal. All right, so there is a couple, because I said there's a hard piece in the center, but that's okay. We're going to be we're going to be kind of layering some of these, so we'll make sure that part gets layered. We'll make sure it gets covered up after. So let's do a little starfish. This is super easy. Just press it in. I'm not even using the putty knives, okay? I'm just using my fingers now. You could use a credit card. You could use a transfer tool if you have the transfers and you have those extra tools. The finger works great because you always have a finger with you. All right, there we go. And we just keep doing the molds. Oh, I got to get one more mold because I have a bit too much of the cornstarch in that shell. So I'm just going to tap it over the garbage can. And then I can press it in here. All these molds by Iron Orchid Design do have this micro rim. And it does make it so much easier when you're trying to get this back nice and flat. Now, why am I bothering to try and get that nice and flat? Well, my surface is flat, right? So we want that to have a nice, smooth transition. If it's bulky in the middle, it's not going to want to lay flat, is it? Okay. Let me get another mold. We got this, well, no. I got my eyes on another seashell. I'm going to do it before I forget about it. Because, you know, if you know me, these ideas come into my head and then they fleet away like a fart in the wind. All right. Just press them in there. You know, this part's really important to pull, you know, get that pressed in there really nicely because that other side is where all the detail is. Okay. We can make several of these molds, and before they totally dry, you know, like get really like crispy dry, I want them to be bendable still so that I can glue them on nicely and kind of maneuver them, because I like to not only press them on, but I press them inward on themselves because all this pulling of the clay, all right, and pulling it out of the mold and then putting it up on the surface and all that, it's stretching the clay. And that can create problems down the road. So let me grab, pretty sure I used, it was either Dainty Flourishes or Olive Crest for my flourishes in my one dresser. But I'm looking for the Rose Swag mold. Here it is. So, this is what I used in the first piece. It was a bureau, okay? And we used these little roses on these details, and I believe on the ends. And then on these curves, I'm pretty sure I used the scroll, the flourishes from, this is Olive Crest. But if you have Dainty Flourishes, that would work. All right, and then I was just thinking, this has a shell, but you also have the scrolls. So if you had acanthus, you could use that. And then I brought this out because it has the shells too. I might want to use that or something. So, or if I need like a small little shell detail in my little centerpiece. All right, so let's do a swag. So we can kind of start getting the idea of what's going to happen here. If you're not able to picture it, I'll start showing you how we're going to frame this out with the roses, but we're adding the shells on the inside. Because I really need the two pieces to, she really liked the blue piece, but she bought the white piece. So I need it to go nicely with that, but still have the fun that the blue piece had too. And here's the true story. The white piece was actually hers that she had donated to us. And then she came in hoping to buy the blue piece and fell in love with her own piece. So I gave her a good deal on that. It's only happened once before where someone came in and bought the piece that they had given us. So it's one of those things I'm not comfortable with it, not at all. Like some people, you know, you get pieces on the side of the road, you look at yard sales and thrift stores, and then sometimes you just get a blessing and someone donates a piece to you. Which is awesome because I only pay yard sale prices. People are always asking, do I buy furniture? Well, I do, but I suggest you try and sell it because if you're at the point where you're going to take it to the dump, I'll give you a little money for it. You know? All right, how are we doing? We're doing good. We're doing good. And how are we doing for time? Oh, I have my register off, so it's not using up internet while it's too much. I don't have it turned off, but you know. So here I didn't have enough clay to go to the end, so I'm going to lift this little bit and we're going to make a seam. Just need enough to get to the end. I keep everything in this bag and I have a damp paper towel at the bottom. You don't want your paper towel to hit your open clay though, okay? That would be a wet, messy proposition there. Oh, the other nice thing about the Iron Orchid design molds, on top of this micro rim, which I'll show you the difference with these other molds, they give you measurements. So if you're looking to do, let's say, especially, I find the resin means the most to me, but they have measurements for each part of this mold, okay? You can tell, well, mine doesn't have it because mine's an older mold, but they would have like the measurement in weight, so you would know like if you wanted to do 3 of these, you know, you needed so much of clay. Or you could do liquid measurements, so you could know how much, add up all your liquid measurements and you can have at least an idea of how much of your resin to make. You know, that can still vary, but at least you won't overshoot it too much. I tend to go heavy on that anyways because I always pour extra and then make a butterfly or something out of the leftovers or one of the letters from the font molds. All right, so now that we have some of the molds made, thank you for your patience if you're still watching. We're going to use, I like to use this Titebond Quick and Thick glue. And let's see if I can get into position so that both cameras are okay. So I like to keep the glue upside down. So I'm going to take the cap off, and you notice I have extra caps in the bottom of my container. That's because I'm always losing them. Usually only temporarily, but you know, especially when I'm doing the Iron Orchid Design Lives, which by the way, I'm on Iron Orchid Design's Facebook page on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of every month. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these drawers in. Okay. And then we're going to take our glue and we're going to add just enough. Just enough. Oh, it's sealed shut. All right, let's see if I can get, will this open it? Yay. There's 2 ways that you can go about this. You can put the frame on first, or you can put the molds on inside of it and then maybe cut them to the exterior, which, you know, I think I'm gonna do that now that I'm thinking about it, right? So like I said, I could glue this on, right, like that, and then fill with these other ones and then just, you know, go to the edge. But you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, why don't we add these, okay? And then that way they'll go right to the edge, and any excess will either get covered up, you know, we'll cut off, and that way it'll be a nice seamless edge on there. Let's just do it. What do we got to lose? So I'm just taking the glue and I'm adding just enough. If you put too much on, I find that it slides around for too long. It drives me nuts. You want to use tape so you can keep moving. Where if you put, because this type on quick and thick, it sets up in like 5 minutes, and it really does, but you don't want to put too much glue on. But if you don't put enough glue on, you know, then as it's trying to settle, the glue dries, and so it doesn't get to hold in all the spots. So there's that. So if you can find that happy medium, I guess go a little bit heavier rather than lighter. And we're going to put our glue in the cradle, and we're just going to plop that on there. Okay. Pretty much right to the edge. If this little extra glue here bothers me, I can take and wipe that, the excess. But you know, a lot of this is really going to get covered up. Not all of it, a lot of it. Some of these will get layered over each other. Some of them won't. It's just whatever feels good to me in the moment, I guess. So I glue it on, right? And then it's always good to have another tool around to have just sort of press in these details so you're not losing them. Let's see, I like to use this for stuff like here, just to make sure that all the parts have got a good contact with the. All right, I feel like that's down good. I don't feel like it was like it pushed down anymore. But I'm also going to press this in now on itself, all right? Squeeze it back in, because remember I talked about all the stretching that we did of the molds. All right, so let's see. Maybe we put a starfish here. You know, we're going to do this. All right, like that. Okay, just put enough glue on. And over the next, you know, few minutes, we're going to keep revisiting these pieces. And after a good 5 minutes, we shouldn't need to revisit them anymore. Once if you had a lot of glue, you would still need to revisit it. But these are looking good. They're not, that really hasn't moved. If I had too much glue on there, it would still be slipping and sliding all over the place. Okay. And then let's take something smooth and kind of press in here. Maybe this on the outside of that. Okay, this maybe here. All right, that looks pretty good too. Didn't really squeeze down anymore. Sometimes you'll hear like a bubble pop that when you squeezed it down, that it just made contact again. All right, but that looks good. Now I'll take my little starfish and we'll do a little overlapping. But this is going to be like a puzzle for the whole rest of this. Just kind of filling in how we like. All right. Now, I'm not going to glue that swag on yet because I got to do the whole section. But see here, I can just kind of cut that edge off now, okay? So that maybe my swag just goes to that edge and it won't be lumpy where it meets the molds. This is carved out. I guess I could have just shoved it down in there. And if it bothers you, you might take some clay. If you had some leftover clay from another project, you know, one that doesn't bother you, maybe it's getting old and it's tired, you could just glue a bead in here. You could fill it with mud or whatever, but I didn't do it for the last one. I think once this clay really sets up, I do feel like it holds its own. All right, so let's see if oh, this is still pretty tacky. But this has 2 coats on it for the most part. So let me see how we're doing. You know, but this, like I said, this will go over like that. Once that's filled in, I think that's going to be super pretty. And then some flourishes and then more roses. I think that'll look nice. I hope you do too. All right. If not, it's too late. All right. Now, let's see what we can do with this gold. We might not be able to do it. If I can't do it, I can't do it, right? So let me turn this around again. And let's see what happens. Let me wash my hands. I got clay on my hands. I don't want that to interfere with the whole leafing. All right. See how I picture framed the whole, you know, the corners with that sea spray texture? All right, let me see. Is that really tacky? Yeah. Let's just see. Oh, we'll get our tools back. Hold on. I need my toothbrush. If I was doing a bigger section, I would get like a scrub brush and I would have a few sheets of this going at a time. But where I've added over on this other part of the foil process, I'm going to try and use up all the leftover foil that's on here. So I'm going to go over some areas where I added some more of the adhesive and just keep going over it. So you really have very little waste. If you do it right, you'll have none at all, right? With this foil. Okay, you just put the pretty side towards you, not the white side, the pretty side looking at you. And just scrub it in there. Sometimes like a finishing pad, we have the Dixie Belle finishing pad would be great for a big area. But these small areas, like a toothbrush, works really good. Yeah, it's still too tacky in some spots. But it's super easy to do, right? If any of you are so inclined and watching, if you're on replay, if you like what you see, please share with your friends. We greatly appreciate that. That's our plug, I guess, as anyone does in these videos. You know, we are a small business. And that's it. So here's a thing that you all should probably know. If you're still watching, God bless you. I'm not sure what's happening with our building right now. Someone has put in an offer. I thought they were going through the closing process. but I haven't heard from our landlord anything yet, so maybe something got held up. I don't know. Not sure what it means for us, but you know, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. There might be a move. There might stay. We'll see. He said there's no rush. I met the new owner. He said no stress, no rush. But you know, ultimately it's their choice. And he just bought the building. They also bought another building here, so they have ultimate other plans. So yeah, the restaurant, they bought the restaurant behind us. So that'll be good for the west end of Main Street. The Roadhouse has been bought, and they're gonna fix up things and get it going, and probably continue to fix up things. But you know, they've done this before. They own a restaurant down the street, so they know what they're doing. So that's easy peasy to do this. So I think it's better to do 2 coats, real thin coats of the glue, rather than 1 thick one. I'm having better luck with the 2 thin coats. Some adhesives just work better that way, I found, with the foils or the leafing. This is the same thing as gold leafing, okay? But if you've ever leafed before, like me breathing heavy, or a wind gust goes by, or the air conditioning comes on, and it's flying all over the place, and it's flying all over the ground, and you don't want to waste it because it's so expensive, right? Where this, it's all contained. This is the best stuff to use, you guys. I love it. There's other companies that sell them, but if you're buying your Dixie Belle and you like the gold leaf and all that, you should grab this. I like the color better than the waxes, so if you want to do the hardware, I would definitely clean and maybe prime your hardware, and then you could gold leaf. All right? How easy is that? Takes a little patience, you know, working in this tight constraints and a toothbrush, but you know, we're getting it done, and that's what counts, and it's going to be super pretty. All right, you guys, I think we've covered everything that I want to cover. If you have questions, I don't want to keep you forever, but if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. That's what we're here for. And we're going to get this done soon, and it's going to be, we'll be posting the pictures really soon too. I'm using the same hardware that came with it. I don't even think I really need to do a lot to it. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of the gilding wax. But because we really didn't do a lot to the original hardware that she has at home with the other piece, we're going to keep it the same way. That's it. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate that you were here today. Again, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you are afraid, but don't be, because if you have a question, I guarantee someone else is going to have the same question, and maybe they're too afraid to ask. So be the person and ask the question. And if you really don't want to do it in a comment, you can DM me, PM me, email me, cporium@gmail.com. Go to our website and shop and find out more about our products and what we do here. And that's at cporium.com. And until I see you all again, stay sassy. Bye. Bye.